everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in today's video we are filming my June TBR. So you may have noticed by this point I have not put up a May wrap up, and that is because my May TBR did not go so well. So I really debated with whether or not I would even do a June TBR, just because I feel like I'm not really sticking to my TBRs and my reading mojo has just kind of gotten a bit lost. Like, I just find that I've been reading very long books that are really slowing my reading down, and I need to be reading really quick books that will hopefully like excite me and hopefully get me towards my yearly reading goal. So this TBR was intentional because there is a book that was left over from my May TBR that I didn't get around to reading, but also the rest of the books are quite snappy, quite quick, and that's very intentional because I do just want to read a lot of quick books that will hopefully help me towards my reading goal. So first off, I am going to start with the book that was left over from my May TBR, which I just didn't get around to reading, and it made me really sad because this is one of my most anticipated books of the year. It is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. So this is Victoria Aveyard's next kind of series after the Red Queen series, which was her debut series. And this came out in May, and I've been seeing a lot of incredible things about this book. This is basically a world where, what if the heroes basically didn't save the world? What if it's up to the B team to save the world? So it's about a group of misfits, a load of different characters that basically try and save the world, but they are basically nothing special and they are certainly not heroes. So I love the idea of this. It sounds like a lot of fun. It's very kind of traditional fantasy as well, which is definitely my vibe. If you know me, you will know I'm a big fantasy fan. So I do really need to get around to reading this. This is first up on my June TBR. I will definitely be reading this in June, and let's just hope in my June wrap up that this features on it, because otherwise I'm going to be so disappointed. Okay, so next up on the speedy June TBR is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So this is a proof copy that was kindly gifted to me from Hodder, and this was published in November last year. So I'm a little bit behind with reading and reviewing this one. So this is basically a incredible sounding book. It is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but it's set in Shanghai in the 1920s and features like gangs and a lot of dodgy dealings. So this just sounds incredible. Let me read you the description. So it says, perfect for fans of The Last Magician and Descendant of the Crane, this heart-stopping debut is an imaginative Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920 Shanghai with rival gangs and a monster in the depths of the Huangpu River. So this sounds like incredible. I know a lot of people on booktube have read These Violent Delights. I've seen nothing but incredible things about it, and honestly this has been very high on my TBR for a while now. I just think it's time that I finally read the books that I've been meaning to read for a while. The one thing is, this proof does feel very chunky. It is a 446 page book, and not to be one of those readers, but the font is really small, and I just have a fear of any book really over 400 pages, but I'm hoping this book, the reason I chose this is because I really do hope it will be super pacey and very exciting, especially if it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling. There will be that romance element, but equally, as we know with Romeo and Juliet, there are rival gangs, rival families, and I'm hoping that will kind of set the scene for a very fast-paced adventure. So I cannot wait for These Violent Delights. Do let me know in the comments if you've already read this book and what you thought about it. So the next book is a proof copy that I got sent at the start of the year, I believe, and is one of the biggest books coming out in 2021. It is actually publishing this June, which is exciting, so I'm actually reading it as it's coming out for once. It is The Other Black Girl, and this is by Zakaya Delilah Harris. So this is my publishing exclusive proof. Basically, Bloomsbury sent out a load of different proof copies to different types of people. So because I work in publishing, this is the Leave Publishing Now proof, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So this is actually a thriller, and it's about a young girl who starts working at a publishing house for the first time, and she's very, very used to being the token black girl. She's very used to the microaggressions that she has every day at work. She's kind of used to her role there. But then when a girl called Hazel is hired, and she's also black, the main character kind of thinks like, okay, well, maybe we can share this burden. It's not just going to be me who is dealing with these microaggressions and, you know, this kind of environment at work. But then weird things start to happen, and there's a lot of very frustrating power plays at hand. So there is obviously a secret that is going on at the heart of this novel. So this sounds incredible, and is inspired by the author's own experiences working in publishing and basically being surprised when she saw another black woman in the bathrooms, and kind of being surprised at her own surprise that, you know, she was surprised at seeing another black woman in publishing. So I think this is a super important book, and one that as a publishing professional I feel like I need to read. I think it's going to be fantastic. I've heard nothing but great things about it. It's coming out in June. Please do order it, and I will leave links to all the books mentioned in this TBR down in the comments below. The next book on my June TBR is Quarantine Comics, and this is by Rachel Smith. So this is actually a graphic novel comic book about life in lockdown, and I believe the artist Rachel Smith started working on this when she was obviously in lockdown over the past year. And this is basically going to be a really funny, like very real look at life in lockdown. So this is just an example of some of the pages. So there's some gorgeous all color illustrations, and then the kind of usual kind of comic strip look as well. So I'm very, very excited about this. The reason I wanted to read this in the month of June is because I do find that I read comics and graphic novels super duper quickly. So I do feel like, hopefully, if I'm reaching a stage in my reading month where I'm just feeling very, very like lost and a bit slumpy, I'm hoping that picking up Quarantine Comics will hopefully get my reading back on track, and hopefully will be a super quick, really fun read for the month of June. And the final book I want to read in the month of June is Heart of the Fae by Emma Hamm. It wouldn't be a TBR video of mine if it didn't include some form of fantasy romance. If you have been watching my videos for a while now, you will know I'm a huge fantasy romance fan, always looking for my next fantasy romance hit. So this is described as a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I believe this is more adult fantasy romance rather than in the YA genre. This is also part of a series called The Other World, which does sound great, and I do love fantasy romances that are part of a series. So I'm going to be reading this on my Kindle. As I said, described as Beauty and the Beast, but also meets Irish mythology, which is of interest to me because the novel I'm currently writing at the minute is based around Irish mythology as well. It says, once upon a time, a plague sweeps across the emerald hills of Weenel, don't know how you pronounce that, leaving a young midwife's father with months to live. To save her people, Saoirse makes a deal with a dangerous fae. She must travel across the sea through Merrow and Kelpie lands to find a forgotten king on a crumbling throne. Born king of the Seelie Fae, Aemon fought battles unnumbered to uphold honour, duty and freedom, until his twin brother sank a blade between his shoulders. Crystals grew from the wound, splitting open skin and bone. His people banished him to a cursed owl for his disfigurement, now king of criminals and fools. With the help of brownies, pixies and will-o'-the-wisps, Saoirse battles to break through his crystalline shell and persuade him to take back his stolen throne. This determined beauty could come dangerously close to stealing his beastly heart. So this sounds wonderful, and it has some mixed reviews on Goodreads, so I'm not like 100% sure if I'm going to fall in love with this. I'm not sure if it's going to be a 5-star read for me. I do find with some fantasy romance, it is a bit hit and miss. But all the beats are there for a really great story. The kind of romance, the Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is a particular favourite of mine with fantasy romances. I love a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So I think this sounds wonderful. Do let me know if you've read this book and what you thought about it down in the comments below. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. So guys, I think that is it for my June TBR. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do let me know down below in the comments what is on your June TBR. I really want to know. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video, guys. Bye.